Hello, welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. Hi guys, this is Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy and it is going to be a great day. I am so pleased and happy, just so content to be here with you today and to be sharing deeper insight to make a positive impact in your life. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you just for a moment. I like to do this every once in a while because, guys, we do not hear this frequently enough. You are doing such great work in this world. Thank you. Oh, I'm getting teary-eyed just saying that. Thank you. Thank you for touching people's lives in the way that you do. Thank you for the impact you have on people who are hurting. People who are in pain, people who are embarrassed, people who are scared, people who are stressed out, people who are overwhelmed. Thank you for impacting their lives in a positive way. Thank you for leading your teams. Thank you for being courageous enough to support and help human bodies, for realizing that you are human too. Thank you for listening to this podcast, for recognizing that you do not have to suffer in your life, that this life does not have to be one perpetual exhaustion after the other, even in medicine and dentistry. That actually, when you take care of yourself, when you feel good, you actually do better for the people around you. Your patients benefit when you take the time for yourself, when you take the responsibility for your own happiness. Thank you. I hope you realize that there are people who go an entire lifetime without taking a step back to pay attention to what actually matters in their lives. You do realize that, right? I mean, maybe you even can think of some right now, some people who literally go their entire lives without questioning, what am I doing here? Why am I doing it? What makes me happy? People who literally live by survival day after day after day, and what happens, life just passes us by. And that is not how I intend to live on this earth. And I know that by listening to this podcast, it is not how you intend to live on this earth either. We get this one lifetime, guys, that we know about. And to live it in perpetual exhaustion and suffering, just working and beating ourselves up and feeling bad about ourselves every day, that's not what I want for myself. It's not what I want for my children. It's not what I want for my patients. We get this one beautiful opportunity to live this beautiful life on this realm, in this planet. Why not choose to live it in the most fulfilled way? And I know that just by listening to the Business of Happiness, that is something that you intend. And one of the things I wanted to talk about today was this process of transformation. And, you know, it is a process, it is a journey, but it's not as hard as you think. It doesn't have to take a lifetime. We get to choose a new way of seeing life, a new way of living life, and still answer the call to take care of our patients. Or maybe not. Answer a call to leave the profession, whatever is right for you. But it doesn't have to take a lifetime of regret and frustration and exhaustion to get there. This past week, I had the honor and privilege and oh my gosh, just such a gift I received this last week of attending a Dr. Joe Dispenza advanced retreat. And if any of you listening have gone to one of these, you know exactly what I mean. It was so beautiful, such a great experience. Guys, I never thought I could meditate for 5 hours straight. Literally, I did that. I can't believe it. And I am a seasoned meditator. I meditate every day of my life, but I had never thought that I could actually, eyes closed, meditate for 5 straight hours. I feel like a superhero. And it was worth it. It was amazing. It was amazing. But one of the things that came up at the retreat, and I loved this phrase, and I thought, what a beautiful, simple way to remember and talk about this personal transformation process. It's such a beautiful, simple description of it. And it really breaks it down so easily so that you can see, wow, it's actually not such a mystery. And what he always says is, this little phrase is, believe, behave, become. Believe, behave, become. And I wanted to break that down in this episode today because it is so simple. And transformation is that simple. And I wanted to talk a bit about what does that even mean? Because every time that I have overcome a major challenge or stepped into a new version of myself, that is exactly what I did. And after decades of doing this myself and years of supporting colleagues of ours in medicine and dentistry to do the same, to experience something new and different of choice, something intentional in their lives, this is exactly what we followed. Believe, behave, become. And it works every single time. And it's interesting because I think what we expect when change, what we demand, is something outside of us to change. If my boss was just different, if the medical system was just different, if my children would just listen to me, if my husband was just XYZ, we keep expecting things outside of ourselves to change in order for us to experience something new. If I just had a better job, if my income was different. And we miss that incredible power that we have within ourselves. And it supersedes everything. All of those annoyances that you recognize in your life right now, all of those frustrations of things outside of you that for years you've been wishing were different, guys, none of it matters. The whole secret to personal transformation is transforming yourself. That's it. The whole secret to changing your life is changing yourself. And it all falls into this really simple little formula: believe, behave, become. That's it. And when you change, everything changes. And what's so exciting about it is it's actually the only thing you have any control over. We can't control things outside of ourselves. We like to think we can. In fact, some of us get really good at thinking we can, and I have both hands up as the president and founder of the Control Club. Because I used to think that I could control anything and everything around me. And when things didn't work the way I expected them to, I was so stressed and frustrated and maddened myself about it. And actually was literally ruining my life because I was trying to control everything. All you business owners out there, all your team leaders out there, please hear me. The only way to get true change, intentional change, is to change yourself. So let's talk about this formula of believe, behave, become. And this very first word, believe, I think is the biggest part. It really is the biggest part. It's the biggest part because it takes the deep inner work. This is the inner work, the believe part. And when we say believe, what do I even mean? It means believing in yourself. And, I used to always say, you know what? I have such deep self-belief. I really do. I think I can do anything I put my mind to. And I think so many high-achieving men and women feel that way. I don't know if I'm the smartest in the bunch, but I can outwork anybody. Well, we all feel that way. And I think there's a very different, let's call it a flavor or a tenor of belief in your ability to do as opposed to your ability to be. The belief in yourself is what is possible for you. Not just what do you think you can crank out and deny all your needs and just get something done. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't mean in how hard you can work. I mean, what do you believe is possible for you to experience? Sometimes we have beliefs that we're not even aware of that are limiting us. I believed at one point that in order to be extremely successful, I needed to work extremely hard. That was a belief, really deeply in my bones. I didn't think there was anything that could be accomplished without really hard work. I had to change that belief. Because one of the things I didn't want to do was be exhausted anymore and have migraines anymore and work myself so hard that I missed my children growing up or my love affair with my husband. Wake up one day, my husband and I one day at 15 years, on our 15-year anniversary. We've now been married 22 years, so this was a few years ago, but I'll never forget this day. We went to Nova Scotia. We were sitting in this beautiful place in Nova Scotia, looking out over this riverbed, and I burst into tears. I said, "Sweetheart, I feel like we've been running on a treadmill next to each other for 15 years. We've accomplished a lot. We have 3 beautiful children. We have incredible practices, his oral surgery practice, my orthodontic practice. We have been running alongside each other for 15 years on 2 treadmills next to one another and not connecting. I don't want that for my life anymore." What do you believe is possible for you? What do you believe is possible? And it breaks down into 2 components. First, what do you believe is possible? Is it possible to be successful and abundant and have wealth and everything you could possibly want or need in your life and not work yourself to the bone and have peace and ease and joy and moments of quiet and silence and lots of time for your husband or your wife and lots of time to take care of your body and so much calm at the end of the day that you can be fully present with your loved ones, with your children, and not rush them off to bed because you're so exhausted you just want to fall into bed and scroll on TikTok yourself just to end the day? Is it possible to have a life of connection, to feel connected to every patient, to really love that conversation, to take the time with your patients, to really enjoy this connection with another human being? Is it possible to be fully aware of the impact you're having on someone's life and not just that one patient every decade who sends you a thank you note? Is that possible? That's where belief starts. Believing that what you dream for yourself is possible. And then the second part is, do you believe it's possible for you? Imagine this, 3 days away from work, 3 days away from your regular life, from your family, from the day-to-day hustle and bustle, to just rest and reconnect with you. Here's the truth. Nobody knows you like you do. Nobody knows the joys and the sorrows and the fears and the frustrations and the stresses and the overwhelm and the exhaustion and your patients and your team and your family. Nobody knows what you're going through better than you. Nobody knows what brings you joy and fuels you and fulfills you. Nobody knows your dreams and desires like you do. And the secret to how to access that beautiful wisdom inside of you, the guru inside of you, waits for you at the Empower Her retreat. This incredible retreat happening this October 17th through 20th is an opportunity for you to fall back in love with yourself, to identify your directional compass, and to lean into trust, self-trust, the trust of that inner wisdom. www.empowerherretreat.org. Join us there. Sign up. There are only a few spots left. This is your opportunity to change the direction of your life. Sure, there are many people that live these great lives, and we see Oprah Winfrey up there. It's possible. It's possible to go from complete poverty to being the most wealthy woman, impacting the most number of people in the world. It's possible. She's shown us. But do you believe it's possible for you? And another component of belief is, do you believe you're worthy of it? I used to have such deep self-belief in my ability to work hard, but I did not have any self-worth of receiving that abundance. So belief is a really deep thing. And what I've learned is it actually takes time and space. It takes introspection. It takes asking yourself the right questions. It takes visualizing and teaching your brain and your mind and your heart a new reality. Because when you've been thinking a certain way for so long, you've been believing something that's limiting you for a really long time. And what I never understood before this beautiful work was that we actually get to choose new beliefs and encode and entrench them into our fabric of who we are. It's possible. I know because I did it. But it did take time and space, meaning stepping away from my rushing everyday life. I needed to make time and space for it and honor that. Because if all we're doing is putting one foot in front of the other every day, just pushing through the day, going through the same motions, nothing is changing. Because nothing changes if nothing changes. And that brings us to the second part of this formula, the behave. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you have this deep belief in yourself and you have deep belief in what's possible, you really believe it's possible for you, you believe you're worthy of it, are your actions speaking the same words? Are your actions showing that self-belief? In other words, if you're just doing the same thing you've done every single day in this past version of yourself that you really want to change, guess what? It's not going to change. It's not. It's not going to change. If you really have a belief that you want to run, that running a marathon is possible, and you believe that you really can do it, and you believe you're worthy of it, phenomenal. But if you don't actually get up in the morning and go for a run and actually run the miles to run, it's never going to happen. You don't become the marathon runner. And the behavior is so much deeper than just the action of it. I know. I'm listening to the thoughts in your head right now. I'm reading the thoughts in your head right now. What do I have to do? That's the first thing we always think about is, man, what do I have to do? We actually go to do before we think about belief. And that's really interesting. And that's why we're so exhausted all the time, because we think, oh my God, I got to do more things. It's not about the doing. It's about the behaving. How does she behave? How does that woman who you believe is possible for you to live the life of that woman, how does she behave? How does she respond to challenges? How does she respond to failures? How does she respond when someone else doesn't believe as deeply as she does? How does she respond when she gets up in the morning and she just doesn't feel it that day? Or maybe the old limiting beliefs start creeping in. That's where behavior really gets interesting. How does she think? How does she speak to herself? How does she speak about herself to others? This is what behavior is. Where does she put her focus and attention? Notice I haven't said do a thing. I haven't said any action yet. What I'm saying is, where does she put her focus and attention? Where does she choose to spend the hours of her day? What does she prioritize? And what is she willing to let go of? Because in order to change, guess what? There has to be a death of our former selves. So what is she willing to let go of? Is it the people in her life that are keeping her in that old mindset? Is it the food that is keeping her in that old body? Is it the actions and the behaviors that's keeping her in the old framework of frustration, exhaustion, overachieving, overdoing? What does she no longer do? And what's so miraculous, I mean, this is really where things start getting really magical, is if you just do those two things. Deep belief, really locking in on the behavior component of it, of who she is, that woman in the vision that you believe is possible for you. The becoming is instantaneous. Because once you've changed your beliefs and your behavior, the becoming is already done. That's already done. And that's when really strange things start happening in your life, believe me. That's when the world around you starts shifting. Notice that up until this point, I haven't talked about changing one thing in your outer world. Because guess what? Then your outer world starts changing for you. Strange things start to happen. People who never noticed you before start talking to you. People start referring to you as her, as the woman who, even though maybe you haven't done anything yet, you've just been believing it and behaving it so deeply that they just think that's who you are. Opportunities start coming to you. You don't even have to go looking for them. They start showing up. This isn't magic. Feels like it. All it takes is the belief and the behavior. Because now the world around you sees you as her. They refer to you as her. Opportunities you never, ever, ever would have imagined start coming to you. But it starts with the most important component, which is belief. So I ask you, what would change for you in your life if you truly believed in yourself? What would change for you? What would you choose to change? What incredible experience do you wish to have in this one lifetime? And I don't mean just like, it could be a one-time event. I want to experience a safari in Africa. I want to experience climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Okay, it could be a cool one-time event like that. Hey, this totally works for that too. But I'm talking about, who do you want to become? How do you want to lead this life? Who would you choose to be? That's a really beautiful question. And, I think that's one of the questions we just didn't know to ask ourselves way back when we chose medicine or dentistry. As so many people I talk to say, I just woke up at 35 and I was a dentist owning a practice. And I was like, what? When did this happen? How did this happen? I was just putting one foot in front of the other. I don't know that I ever chose this profession. I don't know that I ever chose this relationship. I just woke up. I was like, boom, there I'm there. Guess what? It's never too late. Never too late to ask yourself that question. Let go of the regret and the anger about the past, about not having been so wise when you were 19 years old. Guess what? None of us were. None of us were. But today you can be. And you always get to choose again. You are never too old. You are never too much in debt. You are never too far down in your profession. You are never too committed to your practice. Trust me, I have built and sold 3. I know. It's never too late to change who you are. It's never too late to pay attention to what you actually want to experience in your life. It's never too late. In fact, it almost requires that previous experience to know what you want and what you don't want. How beautiful is that? So thank you, past. Thank you for all these beautiful experiences that now I know I didn't want, because now I have super clear intention of what I do want. And now we can start to play. So what would you change? Who would you become? And as I mentioned earlier, it's so much more than just an intention. If you lie on your couch, I know not one of you is lying on your couch, but use this as a metaphor. If you're lying on your couch saying, universe, this is what I want, it's not going to happen for you. It takes this inner work. And what I found after working with hundreds and hundreds of men and women in this art and science of personal transformation is it requires space and time. In this space-time continuum, in this 3D reality that we call living life on Earth, it requires space and time. Space and time away from your everyday life, away from the practice, away from your family, away from your friends, because what do? We get up and we're so habituated. You get up and you brush your teeth the same way, in the same order. You drink your coffee. You're almost mindless when you start your day. You're just going through the same motions every single day. Nothing changes, right? You go to work, now you're thinking the same thoughts, believing the same things, and you're in the same fast track and never taking the time to sit and ask yourself these questions. If you were to be honest with yourself, have you sat down in the past 10 years? I was going to say 10 days, and then I realized, no, let's even go a decade. When have you sat down and thought, what do I want from my life? But beat yourself up over how 19 years old you didn't ask yourself that question. You let other people in your life make that decision for you. So I'm giving you that option and that possibility now. It requires space and time. And for those of you who this is ringing loud and true to, this October, I am giving you that space and time. Retreating from your everyday life and giving you the guidance and support to learn how to believe in yourself. That very first step. What does that look and feel like? How do we change our beliefs? How do we start trusting and believing in ourselves more than the reality that we see, the evidence that's around us? How do we become so deeply connected with that belief that it's impossible for it not to show itself in our reality, that it's impossible for us not to become? That is what we're doing at the Empower Her retreat. So this retreat is a literal retreat out of your daily life, away from your work, to a beautiful place in Charleston, South Carolina. I am only inviting 8 women in medicine and dentistry. I have 3 spots left. Join us so that you can learn this beautiful formula and actually live the life of your dreams. Guys, guess what? It's possible. It's possible, and I'm living proof. It is possible for me to be sitting here in front of you, a changed woman. And when I tell you I was broken, I was broken. I was showing up as a functional alcoholic every day to work, 2 martinis every night, hitting the gym at 4:30 a.m. to sweat it out, and sweating through my day every single day, and putting my kids to bed at night just to get to sleep, to put my head on the pillow, giving away my power, people pleasing, hating myself, got all the beautiful accolades for it, the beautiful car, the fancy house, but feeling completely disempowered in myself. And for me to turn that around, to be the woman who's sitting in front of you today, loving life, loving and being present with my children. This summer was my daughter's last summer living in our house. We are dropping her off this weekend at college. I can't believe it. And I can honestly say I have given so much time and attention that felt quality to her, and done the big things in my business at the same time, and traveled, and gone to this retreat last week. I am the embodiment now of the woman I had dreamt of being 15 years ago. It's possible. And I'd love for you to join me so that I can support you in this journey, in that very first step of belief, and give you the support that you need of how to incorporate that behavior in your life when you return back to work. I don't want this to be a retreat where you just come and rest. Absolutely, I need you to rest. Because if there's one thing I know about you, number 1, you need rest. And you need to be taken care of, and that's what I'm going to do for you. But we're going to leave with great action steps for you to incorporate into your life, because that is when the change actually starts happening. www.empowerherretreat.org. Check it out. Get a time to chat with me if you're not sure this is specifically for you. If you're interested, but you're not sure if this is exactly what you need, then let's chat. There's an opportunity to do so there on the website. But if you know already, I'm going to ask you to not even overthink it. Believe in her now. Sign up and join me in this beautiful space in South Carolina on the beach retreat away from your regular life, and let's transform who you be. Because when you feel good, that, my friends, is when we start actually doing really good things in this world. Bye-bye. Hey, beauty, if you enjoyed this episode, then like and subscribe to the show and receive this beautiful message of empowerment, remembering what you are capable of and the purpose you serve in this world every single week. And if you know of a colleague who needs this message, share this episode with her. This is how we raise the collective in healthcare, reminding one another and supporting one another. Community is the answer. This is how we grow it. And lastly, I invite you to a phenomenal in-person event this October 2024, the Empower Her Retreat, exclusively for women in medicine and dentistry on the beach. It will change your life. And I cannot wait to see you there. Check out the details in the show notes and have a phenomenal day remembering that you are enough.